Alright everybody, I wanted to give you a little bit of a bonus and show you what my stretch flow looks like. So if you like the stretch flow, use it, and keep on progressing. And if you don't like the stretch flow, don't use it. I always say if it works for you, keep it, but if it doesn't work for you, don't use it at all. We have to customize certain things to ourselves and our body types, and what works for one person may not work for the other. But if it does work for you, keep on doing it, keep on progressing, and you're going to see some amazing results. So let's get started. The first stretch that I usually do after I finish my kinetic chain stretches and warm-ups is the Shikodachi. Shiko means square in Japanese. Dachi is the stance. So this is a square stance. Some of you may know this as a horse stance in most martial arts. The difference in the horse stance and the Shikodachi is the horse stance has the toes forward. Shikodachi has the toes outwards at 45 degrees, a little less pressure on the knees. So what I do is I just go into this position, I make sure that my knees are over my ankles, and I'm pushing outwards as I'm doing this. Hands are on my knees, and I'm letting my shoulders relax here, and I'm simply going to rotate my spine as I breathe out. Now, when you did those stretches earlier, you used your eyeballs to look left and right. I'm going to do that same thing whenever I look this way and I breathe out. Then I do the other way. And again. And as many times as I need to in order to feel nice and loose in this position. From there, I will take it to my elbows, push out gently, rock my body, left and right, rock your body. And then I'll put my hands on the ground and wiggle around a little bit, trying to drop my stance. So that is the Shikodachi stretch. Next, what I do is I call this the Goku stretch. Now, if you watch Dragon Ball and you know who Goku is, before he fights, he only does this one stretch and he beats everybody. So this is the Goku stretch. From my Shikodachi, which I did earlier, I'm only going to bend one leg, keeping my hands on the ground, and I'm going to point my toes and my knee to the ceiling. What I need to do also is keep my spine up. Don't lean forward like this. That's not going to help you out. Your heel is also going to be off of the ground as well. Now from here, this is going to stretch the inside hamstring and the adductors as well. I'm going to go from this side, stay low, switch my hands, and then go to this side. So when my hand's on the ground, this is a modification. If you want to make this a little more advanced, here are some things you can do. This elbow that is on my knee, I can push it out gently, which is going to increase the stretch in your growing area. Be safe with this and gentle. Same thing on the other side. Now, if you want to take it to that extra, you want to increase the stretch and increase your strength and go with no hands here. And then you move to the next one without your hands. This is a good stretch. I feel good right there. I'm going to just wiggle my toes. And then I'm going to go back and forth. So this is the Goku stretch. Now, what do I got from the Goku stretch? So after I do the Goku stretch, I usually go into the hip flexor lunge because what I just did was stretch out all of my growing and my adductors. So next, I'm going to go to my hip flexor. When you do the hip flexor, we're going to use all of those same drills that we did earlier about spinal alignment in order to stretch this easier. One thing I want you to make sure is that your foot in the back has the toes pressed into the ground and the toes are not flat like this. So from here, I'm going to keep my spine very straight. Ear over the shoulder, shoulder over the hip, hip over the knee. Now, we're going to talk about those three body parts that we did earlier today. Glutes, belly button, and lats. So I'm going to squeeze my glute. Ooh, I'm going to squeeze that glute, and I already feel the stretch here. Now at the same time, I'm going to pull that belly button, and I feel that stretch increase even more. Golly. And I'm going to pull my shoulders back and down, popping my chest out, giving me good posture. I feel this stretch really good right now. So what I want to do is I want to let go of it, relax, and I'm going to do it and contract again. Contract. Ugh. Breathe. Relax. Breathe. Contract. Ooh. Relax. Contract. Belly button's pulled in and relax. If you want to increase this stretch, as you contract, you can bend this leg. Oh my God. And use this leg as a lever to stretch that hip flexor. And this is the hip flexor stretch, or the hip flexor lunge stretch, however you want to call it. I ain't got no real names for this. All I know is they work for me. Hopefully they work for you. Okay. So after I do the hip flexor lunge, I want to go to the opposite muscle. The hip flexor is in the front. The opposite muscle of the hip flexor is the glute. So this stretch is a stretch that I don't know. I learned this from Wushu. So I haven't seen anybody else do this stretch. This stretch is going to be called Old Chinaman Staring at the Moon. And this is how you do it. You're going to put one leg straight. You're going to put the other foot over the knee. Generally speaking, you want to try to keep the foot flat on the ground. Now from here, I'm going to hug my leg and try to pull it as close to me as I possibly can. What this is going to do is it's going to start pulling on my glute. And you'll notice how my butt cheek is off the ground. What I want to do is keep that butt cheek on the ground. But before I do that, I'm going to tuck this leg in. Some of you may not be able to do this. Use the kickstand. Continue to hold this, and I want you to drop this butt cheek down to the floor as much as you can. If you're having difficulties dropping the butt cheek to the floor, I want you to rotate and look over your right shoulder and then try to drop it down, which may take some mind and body connectivity. So once you feel this stretch, this is phase one. This is going to give you a good stretch in the glute. If you're really flexible and this isn't doing much for you, I want you to simply lay the leg down. Make sure that this ankle is flexed up. If you keep the leg straight, some of this pressure will go to your meniscus and it'll be pulling on it. And if you let it pull too much, we do not want an injury. So keep the ankles flexed up. From here, you're going to drop and feel that stretch increase. And if you want to add more range of motion, go left and right. Left and right. As always, make sure you're listening to your body. Don't give it more than it can handle. And please don't push anything. These are supposed to be gentle stretches. And the stretches increase as you get used to them and comfortable. Make sure you incorporate good breathing, because on your exhale, when you exhale all of your air out, that's when the magic happens and your body expands way more and easier. And this is the old man staring at the moon stretch. Okay. Woo! Okay, I'm going to skip the quad wall and I'm going to move into my calf stretch. Okay. Before I go into my hamstrings, I always do my calves first. Simply pulling my foot backwards, like so, will give me a good calf stretch. But what people don't understand about muscles is they usually have ranges of motion, and they usually have about 3 ranges of motion. So what we're going to do with this calf stretch is we're going to use all 3 ranges of motions in order to help loosen the calf up easier. This one is going to hurt a little more than what you normally would, so just fair warning. But if you can bear through it, the results will be amazing. So what I'll do is I'll go like into a lunge and I'll straighten the leg out. Then from there, I'm going to make sure my hands go to the floor, and I'm going to reach for my toes. If you can't reach your toes, this is what I want you to do. I want you to use your muscles and pull them back. I can feel a stretch really good right here. So if you are flexible and you can grab your toes, I want you to take your hands and I want you to pull them back as much as you can. If you need a modification, you can take a belt, wrap it around your foot, and pull while you're in this position. Now here comes the 3 ranges of motion. As you pull your toes back, you are already in 1 range of motion. What we want to do is take that range of motion to the left, and to the right. Make sure you're pulling those toes back as you rotate. And as you can tell, this stretch works really good, especially when it gets right here. So that's what you're doing as you pull your toes back. And as you can look, my hand is already past my toes already. It really works. So that is the calf stretch. Make sure you do it on both sides. You don't want to have one loose calf and one tight calf. They'll call you Lucy tight? Tight Lucy? I don't know. I was trying to make up a joke, but it didn't work. Next stretch. Okay, next is this hamstring stretch. When you do this, I don't expect you to be able to do the splits. In fact, I want you to grab something like a chair in order to help you assist with your balance. Okay, when we do the hamstring stretch, we're going to go back into that stretch where we were pulling the calves back, and we're going to use the same position. What I want you to do is I want you to pull your body and your spine straight up to where you're on your knee and on your heel. What I need you to do next is go down to the point where you feel pressure. Only where you feel pressure. You can't base this on anybody else. So as soon as you feel pressure, stop. Now, I've got this chair here. I'm using it to help me balance. You could put it on this side of your body, or you could put it on this side of your body. Whichever one helps you the best. What you want to do is completely keep your body squared up and hold this position. What you're going to feel if you're breathing, look, it's going to start coming out by itself. Now, this is where I'm starting to feel a little bit more pressure. All I'm doing is holding this, and I'm squeezing my muscles right here. What's happening is my muscles are getting tired. When they get tired, they loosen, and they allow me to increase my range of motion. If you want to add extra breathing, make sure you have something to hold you and try to relax on your exhale. Remember, once you feel the pressure, just hold it. Just hold it, and you're going to start feeling the increase if you just give it some time. What people don't understand about flexibility is you need to be strong in these positions in order to be flexible. If your muscles aren't strong enough to hold these positions, snap. So make sure that you're strengthening while you are stretching, and that's what holding this is doing. It's giving you an isometric contraction while you're holding this here, which allows you to go further and further down. Quick little story about this stretch right here. I literally taught myself how to do the splits in one day. It took me about 4 or 6 hours. I did exactly what I've explained to you. I held it, I breathed, and then it went down. And I was like, wow, let's see how far it could go. And it kept on going, and it kept on going. Then I took a break, came back to it, and kept on going. And by that time the day was over, I was doing the splits. And I've never lost those splits ever since then. So that's just a story about how breathing and how patience can allow you to achieve big things in a short amount of time. Now, I'm a little bit different. I've been doing martial arts since I was 5 years old, and I learned how to do those splits when I was about 11, 13 years old. So that's just a little bit about how young I was, and my body was able to adapt really easy. But it doesn't matter what type of body you have. As long as you have the mind power here, your body will follow. Make sure your mind is strong and tell your body to follow through. The mind is the first thing that you want to be able to see what you want to do with first, and then allow the body to follow afterwards. Hope that little tip helps you out in some way, shape, or form, because it works. Okay, we're going to take it to the wall stretch.